If you've played any of the Witcher games before, you're probably familiar with most of the common trivia within the games, but here are a few things in the Witcher books that expand upon the information provided in the games, with a little bit of recap for those who aren't as familiar. Throughout time, Geralt, the protagonist of the Witcher series, has been known by a few different titles. Although commonly referred to as Geralt of Rivia, he's not actually from Rivia. He grew up in the Witcher's keep of Kaer Morhen in the realm of Cadwin. The Witchers are an elite and mysterious caste of warrior monks, and in popular northern folklore they are portrayed as possessing magical powers and superhuman abilities. Witchers were believed to combat evil spirits, ghastly monsters, and all manner of dark forces. However, they're encouraged to make up surnames for themselves in order to appear more trustworthy for potential clients. Geralt's first choice for a name was actually Geralt Roger Eric du Haut Belgard, but Master Vesemir, one of the oldest Witchers alive and his mentor, didn't want any of that nonsense. The name Geralt was chosen by his mother, and Rivia was given to him after saving Queen Meve of Lyria and Rivia's army from Nilfgaard. She gave him the formal title of Rivia. Therefore, he's actually Knight of Lyria and Rivia and not a commoner. He even went as far to develop a Rivian accent in order to add authenticity to a surname. Geralt's other not-so-honorable title is the Butcher of Blaviken. Some references to this title are found in the first game when Geralt enters the temple quarters of Vizima and overhears a townsman say, "The Butcher of Blaviken's in town. If you see him, run." You can earn the achievement related to this in The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt if you kill 5 opponents in 10 seconds. That is because, as the story goes in the Witcher book The Last Wish, in Blaviken, Geralt slew Renfri, a cursed princess, and her bandits really fast. He chose to quickly engage them in battle rather than to wait for them to fulfill their plan of killing the townsfolk. However, the people of Blaviken found only the bandits' corpses and thought Geralt had attacked them randomly. Thus, since no one knew of Renfri's intentions, Geralt was titled the Butcher of Blaviken. Can you guess what this is, or who this is? Yep, that's Geralt. In 2001, there was actually a Polish Witcher movie as well as a TV show in 2002. In English, the title of the show is translated to The Hexer or The Witcher. 13 15-minute episodes were released, some of which were based on Witcher stories. The first 2 episodes, for example, weren't based on any existing source material, but many of the following episodes were. But there are several cases where the episodes that were based on source material didn't necessarily follow it rigidly. Throughout the episodes, there are also a few overarching differences between the TV show and the book. The books don't go into the early years of Geralt's training, but the TV show starts there regardless. In the TV series, Vesemir isn't the veteran Witcher that we know, but is instead a druid. There are also renegade Witchers introduced that never exist in the canon. With all those differences, there are a few episodes that are a little bit closer. For example, the episodes based on Shard of Ice and The Lesser Evil were a lot closer to the source material. Most of the available copies of the series have fan subtitles, so of course there might be a bit lost in translation. If only HBO would just remake this. The Witcher movie, The Hexer, received very poor reviews. It has been described as a 2-hour mashup of the TV series that would debut the following year, and it was even disliked by the author of the Witcher series himself, Sapkowski. His opinion on the film was, "I can only answer with a single word, an obscene, albeit short one. I am a Polish Catholic, it is Lent now, I cannot utter swear words." In The Witcher 3 The Wild Hunt, there were plans to implement ice skating combat. However, the developers explained why it was not included at a PAX East panel hosted by Xbox's Major Nelson and featuring Witcher 3 senior game developer Damien Monnier. The panel was titled, "What It Takes to Build a Next-Gen Open-World Game." Monnier said, "At some point, we had the idea of ice skating." He then corrected himself saying, quote, "It was more than an idea. It was actually a prototype. You were going to ice skate and fight. You could slice heads and the blood goes on the ice, and it's beautiful. You were so fast as well. I really liked it. It did look amazing, but ultimately, this feature was going to be at the end of the game, and introducing new game mechanics at the end of the project was quite wonky." The ice skating mechanic was to work with the left and right triggers to skate with the left and right foot respectively. Once you picked up speed, you could slide around and slice up your foes. In the Witcher book, The Swallow's Tower, there actually is an ice skating combat scene. Ciri had to lure a group of enemies led by Boreas Mun, a tracker, into a thick fog. Ciri used the thick fog to her advantage. She put on a pair of ice skates and finished them off one by one. Here are a few parts directly from the book that help describe the scene. "She surrounded us," gasped Boreas Mun, as he turned and listened. "She runs in the fog around us, and you do not know where she is going to strike. Keep yourselves together. She preys on individuals. If you see her coming, do not lose your head. Throw your swords at her feet, backpacks, belts, whatever you can so that she..." He did not finish. This time, they did not even hear the crunch of ice skates. During President Barack Obama's trip to Europe in 2011, the Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk gave him several gifts in celebration of his visit to the country, one of which was a copy of The Witcher 2: Assassins of Kings, the collector's edition. During another visit in 2014, Obama remembered this and held a public speech praising the game. He said, "The last time I was here, Donald gave me a gift. The video game developed here in Poland that's won fans the world over. The Witcher. I confess, I'm not very good at video games, but I've been told that it's a great example of Poland's place in the new global economy, and it's a tribute to the talents and work ethic of the Polish people as well as the wise stewardship of Polish leaders like Prime Minister Tusk." However, a year prior, in 2013, he asked Congress to allocate $10 million for a study by the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, looking at the relationship between video games, violence in the media, and gun violence. If he were actually to play the Witcher game that he got as a gift, he may have been a little more reserved in his speech because the Witcher series is quite violent. CD Projekt Red, the Polish game developers behind the Witcher series, hired Maciej Kwiatkowski, a swordmaster stuntman from the Stunt Forces team, in order to motion capture the combat style and make Geralt's movements seem more realistic. Geralt's fighting style is very fluid and somewhat resembles dancing, which is why it required someone with a specific combat style in order to capture the intricacies of his movements. The mixed sword fighting technique actually has its roots in Renaissance martial arts. The dwarven sigil sword Geralt gets from the merchant Yarpen Zigrin in Baptism by Fire is similar to the German longsword. There was an entire school of self-defense based on the use of these swords. The German school of fencing, started by German master Johannes Lichtenow. Lichtenow lived in the 14th century, but he taught techniques that had been used since the 13th century, the time of the Witcher's universe. One of the main moves Geralt can perform comes from the German longsword technique called Zornhau. Zornhau is one of the 5 master hews or cutting blows, also known as the Wrath Hew. As Martin Page, president of Dawn Duelist Society, declared, in The Witcher 2 it's entirely possible with a two-handed weapon to parry an incoming blow with one end of your sword while cutting the top of the other guy's head off with the tip. So basically, you're parrying and attacking with the same weapon at the same time. In its earlier stages of development, CD Projekt Red considered having a similar system to VATS in Fallout 3. This mechanic would allow players to specifically target enemy vitals and combat enemies by slowing down time and targeting individual parts of their body. But that would have killed the fluent dancing sword style that The Witcher is all about, and thus the feature was cancelled. Andrzej Sapkowski, the author behind the Witcher book series, started his literary career translating science fiction books into Polish. In 1986, he introduced The Witcher when entering a contest for the magazine Fantastica and ended up winning 3rd place. During an interview at Luca Games in 2013, he stated that he wrote the Witcher short story just for fun and didn't have any plans to enter the fantasy literary world. But due to the tremendous popularity of The Witcher, he went on to write more Witcher stories. The universe of the Witcher games is inherently linked to the universe of the Witcher books as described by the game's developer CD Projekt Red. They stated, "We want to develop the Witcher's universe in other media, not only video games. We have Mr. Sapkowski's blessing, and what we create is in line with his vision of the world, no matter how the saga will evolve. Although the game follows suit after the book's universe, the book will not follow after the game's universe since, as Sapkowski puts it, I've never played any computer games, be it fantasy or others. Sometimes I read through dedicated gaming magazines. I cannot say anything about the plots though, apart from the fact some types of games seem to lack any story whatsoever. Those seem to be all about hack and slash." He also claims that all he's seen of the Witcher games is the artwork. The Wild Hunt is actually a group of elves, the NL, from another world, a separate planet or another dimension, led by the King of the Wild Hunts, which is considered to be an omen of death and misfortune. In the language of the elves, it means the Red Horseman. The Wild Hunt from the Witcher universe resembles the actual real-life ancient folk myth found in northern, western, and central Europe. It's described as a spectral group of huntsmen with hounds and horses that are flying through the sky. The hunters are believed to be dead fairies, unidentified lost souls, deities, or legendary figures. The Wild Hunt concept was popularized in 1835 by Jacob Grimm of the Brothers Grimm in his book, which compiled the folkloric sources dating back to medieval times. Grimm described the Wild Hunt as a god and goddess that led the hunt through the land at some holy tide, bringing welfare and blessing, accepting gifts and the offering of people, or they would float unseen through the air, perceptible in cloudy shapes in the roar and the howls of the wind, carrying on war, hunting. Having the unfortunate luck to see the Wild Hunt was thought to foreshadow some catastrophe such as war or plague, or at best, the death of the one who witnessed it. In The Witcher 2, Geralt has to face the Assassins of Kings. In the section of the game's main quest during the siege of the La Valette's castle, you will eventually have to make your way down from a wall into a village and take down a small group of enemies stationed at a barricade. After you take out your enemies, you'll see a gate past the barricade and turn right to reveal stacks of hay, one of which has a familiar Easter egg resting on top of it. There is a dead body dressed in what looks like a traditional outfit worn by one who was initiated into the Assassin's Creed order. Although the game doesn't state it outright, this specific outfit closely resembles the one worn by the famous assassin Altair. Sadly, it looks like this assassin's leap of faith didn't work out so well. When you approach the body, Geralt will make a sly comment about it, and receive a bonus point to increase his assassination tribute. To draw the connection between the two franchises a little further, the developers from CD Projekt Red have learned by the example of the buggy launch of Assassin's Creed Unity and decided to postpone the launch of The Witcher 3 in order to have the game better optimized and not fall to the same fate as Assassin's Creed Unity. Senior gameplay designer Damien Monnier replied in an Italian interview when asked about The Witcher 3's delayed release time, saying, "Explaining the second delay was even easier for us. I am sorry about the problems Assassin's Creed Unity faced at launch, but developers were forced to respect that release dates and they could only limit the damage. Assassin's Creed Unity made our decision simpler because it showed to our backers what could happen to The Witcher 3 too. In the end, we were able to get all the time we needed." What is an unexpected child? You've probably heard this term a few times throughout The Witcher. Simply put, it's a situation that might occur as the final effect of the Law of Surprise. The Law of Surprise in Slavic mythology was originally a form of payment for the devil's service. Sapkowski uses the Law of Surprise for his world, which is very much centered on destiny. The way it works here in the Witcher universe is if a person saves another person's life, the latter is in debt to the former. When a Witcher saves someone's life, they can ask for a reward. If the person is so grateful that he or she says, "In gratitude, I will give you whatever you desire," then the Savior can say, "You will grant me whatever unexpected thing you encounter when you return home." This will be the first thing that person encounters when he or she returns home. Whatever that may be will go to the Witcher. For example, if you were the one in debt and a neighbor had left you a gift when you return home, the Witcher would be free to take that gift. In rare cases, the person can go back home and discover that his wife is pregnant, and that means that the Witcher can take that child based on the Law of Surprise. According to the laws of the Witcher universe, destiny is at work here. It is either the Witcher who will take the child, or the child will find some way to the Witcher. This can be altered though. So far, there are 3 known cases of the surprise child or the unexpected child in the Witcher book series. Geralt himself is one. There is also Ciri, Geralt's child of surprise, and Pavetta, who is a princess and Ciri's mother. In the Witcher series, the conjunction of spheres is a cosmic collision between galaxies which occurred 1500 years before the events in the novel. Because of this event, creatures never seen before enter the world, such as ghouls, graveyears, and vampires, none of which still have their own proper ecological niche. It was during this time that elves say humans first appeared, their own world having been destroyed. The Witcher universe as we know it was created by this conjunction of spheres. In both The Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings and The Witcher 3 The Wild Hunts games, the player can purchase a book called The Conjunction of Spheres in the Town of Vergen. Reading this book provides a journal entry on the subject. The conjunction of spheres could actually be a real phenomenon. Scientists speculate that the Milky Way, our galaxy, and Andromeda, a spiral galaxy situated 2.5 billion light years away from Earth, are approaching each other with a speed of 500,000 kilometers per hour. The Milky Way and Andromeda are due to collide in about 4.5 billion years. It is speculated by the end of the collision process, the results will either be an elliptical galaxy or a large disk galaxy. Either way, it will affect everything that we see in the night sky. That is, of course, if there are still humans on Earth to witness it. This collision will bring a lot of stars together, and who knows, maybe we'll be able to cross from one planet to another where elves roam. Or will it be the elves that come into our world?